Hi everybody, I'm going to talk now about a brand new sober life, because I've done a lot of videos about the doom and gloom of drink, and there's a lot of doom and gloom in drink, but when you can get out of it, then your world will open up, especially in my case, because I was at death's door 5 years ago, probably even 3 years ago, still having problems. You'll always have problems if you're an alcoholic, but the problems are more manageable, if that makes sense. Now, when you've been close to death, as I was, every day is a good day. And your world becomes bigger, brighter, more fruitful. You're more grateful for every single thing. And I mean, just waking up in the morning. When I first got sober, I didn't sleep very well. In fact, I made myself stay up sometimes thinking, this is a wonderful world. I feel so much better. I don't want to miss out. I've had so many years of being controlled by alcohol. I didn't really enjoy my life. After about the age of 35, even though I was working, had a good job, this, that, and the other, I was doing quite well, I still had this issue of alcohol being in my mind all the time. Then you know how you don't feel particularly well, you got to make sure you've got some alcohol, you're planning when your next drink is, you're planning your social events, your life was all around drink. Now, 5 years ago, I had major complications from alcohol problems with the liver. I had tonic-clonic seizures, I had decompensated liver disease, I had ascites fluid, spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, I had low sodium, which took me into the intensive care unit. So between 2019 and 2021, obviously you were aware that that was COVID time. So getting to hospital was a bit of a nightmare. In addition to all those complications, because of the ascites fluid buildup, I had an umbilical hernia, which was the size of two tennis balls. Apparently it was massive. When that happens, the skin around that becomes very thin, and that's split one day, and it started to bleed out. If that happens, the chance of getting an infection in the peritoneum is very high, and most people pass away. That then led to an emergency run from one place in Northumberland to a hospital near Newcastle, where they put 2 blast bandages on me, which is used for explosive incidents, to try and stem the bleeding. That didn't work. Fortunately, the surgery worked and they stitched it up. Then I had another operation 2 days later, all during COVID, which was called another emergency operation. Everything was an emergency in COVID, where they actually took the umbilical hernia away and drained off a lot more fluid. Even after they've done that, I still had the ascites fluid build up. So 2 years mainly in hospital. There's 5 major hospitals in this area. I was in all of them for protracted periods. In particular, the liver specialist hospital, which is the Freeman Hospital, which actually does transplants. It's one of 7 in the country who specialise in this sort of thing, but transplant surgery. So as time went on, I was still feeling down, feeling depressed. At one point I felt suicidal, told the doctors. Nothing was followed up on that, but I pulled myself through out of that, just mentally. I've got to get strong. In July 2021, my father passed away. I was still very weak. I was using a wheelchair sometimes just to get from the driveway to the ambulance. I had those tailback ambulances. Well, all ambulances have got tailback lifts, you know, so I couldn't even walk from the front door of my parents' house to the ambulance on the driveway. I had to be assisted, or they used to get a wheelchair for like 10 yards. So when he was ill, when he passed away, I thought I've got to be strong. I started to try and do a little bit of exercise. Just walk 5 yards, 10 yards. My daughter had a dog. She came up from Manchester, and he, for some reason, that dog, it's like a magical dog to me. He made me go in the garden with him. Like barking and barking. I went in the garden with him, and he had this little ball, and I was throwing it, and it sort of made me go further and further into the garden to get it. It's a weird experience, and I think, God, if I can actually get down and bend down and get this ball for him, it's a massive achievement. And I did that for about an hour. I felt terrible after, so a week. After my daughter left that week, I started to do a little bit more walking, because I used to feel very dizzy, very detached from things, and weak. I was 2 years plus into sobriety by then, but I still had medical issues. So in 2021, after my dad's funeral, I managed to get to that. I was still only about 9-10 stone. I'm 6'3". Can you imagine what state I was in? I was just, if I looked at the suit now I wore for his funeral 3 years ago, it's like made for a boy. compared to, I'm a big fella really. So anyway, we got that over. I eventually started to walk a little bit more, got myself on a very good diet, moved into my own flat again. But the flat was a total mess prior to me going back. I had to get it all gutted. I had rats in when I was ill. That cost a few quid, but never mind, it got done. I started to get myself pulled together a bit more independent. The start of 2022, I thought, well, I haven't been out really, so I got my daughter to take me to a hotel. And I did one night stay. That was a big thing for me, to stay one night on my own hotel. She came up and checked on me, because obviously I wasn't going to drink again. Everyone thinks you're going to drink again. But what I'd gone through in that 2019 to 2021 period, that 2 years in hospital, I could never return to that. I know it's always on your shoulder, just try one, you'll be in control of the drink, but I knew I couldn't do that. So over that period, a little bit stronger, I decided then to go back to London on a train, just for a day. I've been on a train for 10 years. Bear in mind, I used to be a policeman in central London. So, confident, I used to crowds, used to everything. Underground, all that sort of carry on. I was flying all over the place and this and that. Lost my fear of all of that, became massive, and had a massive anxiety problems when I was drinking. I couldn't get on a plane, I couldn't travel on an underground train, the tube trains. So I got this train to London. I felt quite elated. Just one trip to London. My son and daughter said, "You're going to be all right." Yeah, I'll be fine. I knew somebody would pick me up if I fell over, basically. But by then I felt a little bit more confident. I had one night in London. I loved it. I just stayed in the hotel, but just being away and knowing that I could get back to some level of normality was a massive thing for me. And I felt so relieved I could do that. I was so elated. When you've been close to death and you can do one small thing that you've been dreaming about, having a Chinese meal or going somewhere or getting on a bus, or better man, I wasn't driving then. It's a major thing. I got back and I was, oh God, fantastic. Anyway, a little bit later than that, I thought, I wonder if I could get on holiday. The end of COVID, and it was Greece. I relaxed the restrictions, and I went to Greece just for 4 days. It was the best holiday of my life. Went on my own, purely because it was another stepping stone to getting well. Because before I fell ill, I did lots of things. I was very active. So that little holiday in Greece, it was an incredible feeling to sit in the swimming pool. I hadn't been in the swimming pool for years. I sat on the steps and the sun was beating down. I thought, I'm back in the game. That feeling of being back in the game is amazing. You're actually back in sober life. So from then, I did a little bit more traveling. I got myself back to the gym a little bit, not huge, just a little bit more interest there. Hooked up with a few old pals. That wasn't much use because they were still drinking. And then a year ago, I decided to start dating again. I found a wonderful woman who's been very supportive and knows my issues, and I've never been happier than now. My daughter had a baby 7 months ago and went to see today. Now, I wouldn't have been around for this. I would never have seen him because I would have been dead 4 or 5 years ago. Because the doctor came into the ward one day in 2019 when I was in the major hospital, the RVI in Newcastle. And he said to me, man, it's Dr. Christian Dipper, actually, won't mind me mention him because he's a big noise medic, head of acute medicine. And he sat in the bed and he said, "You'll probably not see me again, but it's Sunday, I'll never forget it. At 2 o'clock. One of these moments in your life you think, this is a turning point." He just looked me in the eye and he said, "I'm going to tell you something now. You'll not like it." He said, "If you drink again, anything, you'll be dead in 6 months." And that was a massive, massive shake-up for me. And I haven't done that. So the new sober life is great. You can get out and about, you can travel again, you've got money in your pocket again. You look great. I feel fantastic. I'm 62, I don't look that old, I don't think. Maybe you can comment and say I'm 72 if you want. But the guys who are still drinking are really at the bottom of the bottle, financially, emotionally, physically, because you really got to look after yourself. You only got one chance at this, If you're feeding your body the wrong fuel, it'll let you down. Same as an old car, isn't it? It'll just pack in. And mine was so close to packing in. Mine was, to put the analogy on a car, it was just about to stall. I managed to get it started again. Just a little bit of time later, I'd have been in a crash in the motorway, that sort of thing, because I just managed to get myself put together. And sober life is absolutely cracking. If you need any help with it, please get in touch. I wish I'd looked at this sort of thing when I was ill and tried to find somebody like me, because there's other people like me who have got over it, who could help, because only we know how you feel, if that makes sense. The medics are great, surgeons are great, but unless you're an alcoholic, you don't actually know what an alcoholic feels like in the middle of it. And what I mean by that is active addiction. When you've got a can of beer by the bed, all you can think about is alcohol. All you can think about is the next hour, the next few minutes. When you're sober, you can do anything you like, you're reliable. Another thing, getting back to relationships. A woman doesn't want to date a man who drinks because you're not reliable. And it's the same, women to men. A man doesn't want to date a woman who's sitting drinking bottles of wine all night because they're not reliable. People in relationships want consistency. When you're a drinker, you've got no consistency. You become selfish, conniving, and you're not your real self. It's a mind-altering drug. And it doesn't get any better, really. It just gets worse, unless you keep it in check. There's a lot of people who can control it. But what I've read, what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've experienced, if you've got a problem like me, you can't control it. And it will kill you. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic weekend. And drop me a line. Subscribe if you wish to. And please share the videos if you know anybody who's struggling or is interested in this sort of subject. Speak soon.